Across this great nation, there is a culture of people who carry on a heritage. They have an intangible quality that can't be described, but it comes from deep within their hearts. They share an appreciation for the greatest things that come from Mother Earth. They watch over, understand, and care for the vast wilds of this great country. Fishing, hunting, and trapping are the foundations that Canada was built on. For over 2 centuries, we have taken to the woods and water to pursue wild game. Today, it's about conservation, preservation, and wildlife management. Whether you are a man or woman, fish or hunt, you should support sound wildlife management and proudly say, I am an angler and hunter. The Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters proudly presents Angler and Hunter Television. Brought to you by Canadian Tire, Nikon Sport Optics, Mercury Marine and Lund Boats, Yamaha ATVs, Browning Ammunition, Browning Firearms, Suffix Fishing Line, Rapala, Camillus Knives and Cuda Tools, Excalibur Crossbows, and Yukon Gear.
The Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters presents The Angler and Hunter. This week, Rick Morgan's guests are Wes Laverne. He's host of Let's Talk Fishing and a fishing educator. And Gary Ball.
When Angler and Hunter Television first aired 25 years ago, it was a simple show that had industry experts and enthusiasts sitting at a table discussing outdoor issues, fishing techniques, and hunting strategies.
There's a lot of controversy about whether you use a crossbow or whether you use a compound.
Rick Morgan was the voice of reason, and the show eventually developed into being more about in-field education and showcasing what hunting and fishing is all about as Cam Brownson took over in the early 2000s.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Angler and Hunter Television. As the dawn approaches, it's not just the dawn of a new day, it's the dawn of a new era for Angler and Hunter Television. Angler and Hunter Television, woo! Fishing and hunting definitely defines a person. It definitely defines me. It's who my father is, and it's who his father was before him. Any fishing trip or hunting trip and getting together with good friends and family, it's all part of our heritage, and as a member of the Federation of Anglers and Hunters, I'm a number that is saying, this is my hunting and fishing privilege. It's an honor to be able to do, and we will fight in great numbers to make sure that that continues. I am an angler and hunter.
I've watched Angler and Hunter TV evolve over the years, and when Cam took over, I knew the show was heading in the right direction. Since taking over for Cam in 2011, I have seen some big changes in how fishing and hunting is viewed publicly,
all stoked or what?
politically, and over all the different media platforms. After 25 years of showcasing the efforts of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, it's still amazing to see how important this organization is and how its efforts can make a difference. Today, the show does all of the above and goes further to educate, entertain, and inspire a new generation of anglers and hunters.
This portion of Angler and Hunter Television brought to you by Yamaha ATVs.
In the 8 short years that I've produced Angler and Hunter Television, several milestones have been achieved, and I can say that I'm proud to have been able to showcase some of these. Let's go back to 1999, when the Ontario government closed the spring season for black bears due to political pressure. 15 years later, through the vigilant efforts of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, common sense prevailed and the season was reinstated.
A spring bear hunt has many benefits. Many of the benefits are the same that any sort of hunting season has. There are wildlife management benefits, so it helps to maintain population objectives, to maintain the bear population where the MNRF wants it. The license sales, or the money from the sale of black bear licenses, goes back into wildlife management initiatives. Specifically a spring bear hunt, the timing of the spring bear hunt is such that it helps reduce the density of bears immediately prior to the peak conflict period, which is in the summer and fall months. So bear density is reduced prior to that period, and it also reduces the predation levels on newborn deer and moose. But ultimately, the most important thing about the spring bear hunt is that it keeps bears wild. It instills that sense of fear of human beings into them.
Right over here. He's coming in. It's alone. It's not a giant bear. You know, that could be a sow, could be a boar. I'm gonna guess it's a boar. It's got the right thickness of the neck, smaller ears, and there's no sign of a cub, so that's a perfect example of why we bait bears. Holy, that hit him like a bolt of lightning. He didn't go 15 yards. First spring bear in 15 years in Ontario, right there. Yes! And there you go. This might be one of the most gratifying hunts I've ever had. Beautiful bear. First spring hunt in Ontario in 15 years, and hopefully many more to come. Wow. You may recall the heavy lobbying that took place and the relentless work the OFAH had been doing to have the spring season reinstated. In October 2015, the Ontario government announced that the pilot program had been extended for 5 more years and would now include all wildlife management units.
And obviously this announcement is another significant step towards fully restoring the benefits of a spring bear hunt in Ontario. It shows there is a level of understanding that spring bear hunting not only plays an important role in wildlife management, but also in the quality of life for many Ontarians.
Ontario is blessed with a very abundant and thriving population of black bears. And with an extended spring season, I suggest you give it a try. One of the best parts about driving through the countryside are the wonderful sights we see. Rivers, lakes, mountains, trees, and of course, wild animals. Have you ever stopped to think about how many animals are killed each year on our roads by motor vehicles? Try Googling deer vehicle collisions and you'll see some pretty graphic images. The numbers are astounding and seem to increase every year. In fact, if you're driving through the United States, your odds are about 1 in 200 that you'll hit a deer on the road. Thankfully in our country, municipalities are taking action with help of organizations like the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. White-tailed deer have been a major topic as of late, with the spread of chronic waste disease and human-deer conflicts in urban areas.
I saw the truck pull up, and then they did their thing that they had to do. They had to garb up and put boots on and white suits and gloves and masks.
To help reduce roadkill, injuries, and property damage in northwestern Ontario, the cities of Thunder Bay and Kenora introduced an archery season in 2013 that allows hunting within city limits. This girl with her fawn wandering down the street. There's another one over there. Wow. I had the privilege in taking part in the inaugural season for a unique hunt where I set up in the outskirts of Kenora on a small tract of land behind Wood Lake Marine, where good friend Scott Dingwall had scouted some local deer. Now Scotty set up a ground blind in a high traffic area for me, and his trail cam photos show that there's a pretty big buck in the area, so my hopes for success are very high. Oh yeah, that's him. He's back. He's hit good. I hit him a little left, but I went definitely in the vitals. Whew. He's gone now. He just ran up that hill, and it's 5:30. I called Scott and let him know that I hit a nice deer, and he should get out here before we lose too much daylight. Camera batteries were low, and dusk was upon us, but we found my arrow and my deer only 100 yards from where I took the shot. Now he's legal. Bingo!
Get a pictures or what?
Yeah! My Excalibur has proven again to be an efficient and effective tool for harvesting big game. And it allowed me to participate in Kenora's special in-town archery season.
Since 1928, the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters has been a leader in conservation. For the past 25 years, Angler and Hunter Television has been bringing the OFAH conservation message to millions of viewers to conserve and protect our great outdoors. In the 1980s, wild turkey in Ontario had almost been eliminated from the landscape. In 1984, the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters arranged to have 274 wild turkeys from various U.S. states released in Ontario. And with proper conservation guidelines, they made a huge comeback. Wild turkey now cover the entire range of southern and central Ontario, reaching amazing numbers that have allowed seasonal hunting to bloom in the province. It is a huge success for the turkey population, the biodiversity of the countryside, and everyone who loves the outdoors. Angler and Hunter Television is proud to bring the OFAH message of conservation and passion for the outdoors to viewers around the world, sharing the traditions of hunting, fishing, and trapping.
This portion of Angler and Hunter Television brought to you by Minn Kota and Humminbird.
From big game to migratory birds, there have also been some new opportunities made available in conjunction with the Canadian Wildlife Service. And in 2013, they finally opened a fall season for the most popular game bird in North America, the dove, which is a great game bird and an excellent way to introduce youth to the traditions of hunting. Not since the 1950s have Ontarians been able to legally harvest mourning doves, but with an expanding population of nearly 500 million birds, it might just be the most sustainable harvest of any wild game in North America. When the announcement was first made, I contacted Dr. Scott Petrie of Long Point Waterfowl to get the lowdown on the new season and arrange a hunt.
Doves are a game bird, and they're harvested in 40 of 50 U.S. states. And they're the most sought after game bird in North America in the States, and they're the most abundant game bird in North America. They're a native game bird. They are harvested in BC. So it's just a natural that we should be harvesting. We can harvest them now, and we should be harvesting them. It's a readily available resource. The fall flight, the estimated fall flight out of Ontario, or within Ontario, is somewhere between 3.3 and 3.8 million birds. And the estimate is we'll harvest about 20,000 per year, so it's less than 1% of the fall flight. So from a population standpoint, our harvesting of them will have absolutely no effect on the population.
Introducing new hunters to the sport has always been a challenge, but the dove season is going to give more opportunity for both hunters with limited access to land and those looking to keep their hunts close to home.
Well, because doves are everywhere, it provides lots of spatial opportunity. People it can be hard to find a duck field or a goose field, and that can take some time. It's not hard to find a place to go and harvest doves. The other thing I found this year with harvesting them is that it's very quick to set up your equipment. So like I can pick up my kids from school at 3, and I can have them in a dove field shooting them at 3:30. I can't do that with a lot of other forms of hunting. And because there's the bag limit's 15 birds, they're hard to hit. There's lots of shooting opportunities. It's absolutely wonderful for kids.
Everybody thinks they're such a small bird, but
well, some people made the argument that maybe we shouldn't shoot them because they're so small, but we eat lots of small things. Woodcock are small, sardines are small.
Yeah, sardines are good.
And
anchovies on the pizza?
Yeah, and they are delicious.
Yeah.
That's just my favorite game bird to eat.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I've never had the privilege to try it, so first time in Ontario.
Tonight.
Congratulations on getting that done, and it was a long time coming, I take it for you. But you know what? For me, the excitement of it was, messing with some decoys and coming out, but I did challenge myself a bit with this 410.
Yeah.
But you know what? For a youth, 410's a great gun.
It's perfect.
So just goes to show, if you do get a 410, you can knock down a few birds and have a good time. So here's to dove hunting in Ontario. Another great hunting opportunity was opened up to Ontario back in 2012, a spring season for snow geese in eastern Ontario. I had the opportunity to take part in it with good friend Scott Petrie.
And luckily the Canadian Wildlife Service and the Ministry of Natural Resources is providing lots of increased opportunity for us to get out and harvest these animals.
Literally millions of snow geese pass through in the spring and fall on their way to and from the Arctic Circle. These birds travel in massive flocks and can often be seen as a blanket of white in farm fields.
Take 'em! More in,
like it.
more down.
I like it.
For Canadians, there's never been a better time to take up waterfowl hunting. I suggest you get out there and enjoy the extended hunting opportunities and take home some great table fare. There are also some ongoing success stories that the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters has initiated, like the Lake Ontario Salmon Reintroduction Program. Since 2006 has seen over 8 million salmon stocked into Lake Ontario. Okay, so we're 12 years into the Bring Back the Salmon project, and the fish that we're taking out of this tank today and putting into the creek, I noticed they're fairly small fish. The question I have, and a lot of people have, is how long is it going to take for those fish to mature and actually return to this river?
So these fish are probably going to be back in 2 to 3 years as adults, so they'll spend a year in the river,
right,
at least a year out in Lake Ontario maturing, and then they would come back. Probably the males first at sort of the earliest age, and then the females might spend another year out in Lake Ontario to grow up and come back.
So at 3 years, how big will they be?
So 3 years, they should be maybe 16, 30 inches or so. It depends a bit on their size and whether they're
so that's like a
fully coming
3
back.
to 5 pound fish?
Yeah, about that size first time coming back.
In past years, an angler would have had to travel to the east coast or even into northern Quebec to experience the thrill of catching an Atlantic salmon.
Yes! Woo! Got him. Woo! I did it!
Yahtzee! That is incredible. Northern Quebec, Leaf River. After years of successful stocking, the Atlantics have returned to selected tributaries of Lake Ontario. And Ontario anglers can now enjoy a catch and release season for these magnificent fish. So there, it's not just about taking bags and buckets of fish and pouring them into the waterways and hoping they take. It's undoing the environmental wrong that we've done over hundreds of years to recreate their habitat. So being a part of the OFAH, supporting these initiatives is very important, not only for anglers like me that want to go out and catch these fish, but for people that want to enjoy, our natural environment and bring it back to the way it should be. Invasive species have become one of the province's greatest threats as of late. Asian carp, soldier weed, cormorants, zebra mussels, and round gobies have all become threats to our lakes and rivers. But there are also several that seem to sneak under the radar, like sea lampreys, which can wreak havoc on Lake Ontario salmon. Look at the size of the lamprey on this thing. Oh, that's a giant Chinook salmon, and he's got a sea lamprey stuck to the side of him. The lampreys might let go here. Get my pliers. There. Wow, what a suction this thing has. He goes right back to that fish. This thing is a monster. Wow! Look at this thing. Now, look at that lamprey wound. Right there. That is terrible. But that hung on to that fish that whole time. Sea lamprey are dangerous and invasive species that come into the Great Lakes through shipping canals and ship ballasts. If you encounter a sea lamprey, or to get information on invasive species like the sea lamprey, visit www.invadingspecies.com. Look at that. What an awesome fish. Oh, he's tensing up. Man, so after that fight and having that lamprey on him, probably pretty tired, but he's gonna be thankful that that lamprey is not sucking the blood out of him anymore. In 8 short years, I've seen the landscape change for better and worse. Holy smokes. You know, 60 years ago, there were only 3 billion people on this planet, and today we have nearly tripled our population to 8 billion. With so much human expansion comes threats to wildlife, like habitat loss, human-animal conflict, disease, and overcrowding.
One of the concerns has got to be that when you take the hardcore conservation that is wide use and turn it into preservation, people quit caring about the natural resources, they quit caring about fish, they quit caring about wildlife. When you use it, you protect it, and you work to enhance it, but when you quit using it, who cares? Who's out there doing the work anymore?
You can't build a wall around it.
Never has it been more important to stand up as anglers and hunters and support organizations like the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters and make sure wildlife conservation and our outdoor heritage is sustained for generations to come.
Closed captioning of Angler and Hunter Television is brought to you in part by Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. Angler and Hunter Television has been brought to you by Canadian Tire, Nikon Sport Optics, Mercury Marine and Lund Boats, Yamaha ATVs, Browning Ammunition, Browning Firearms, Suffix Fishing Line, Rapala, Camillus Knives and Cuda Tools, Excalibur Crossbows, and Yukon Gear. For more information on the products used in this episode of Angler and Hunter Television, visit AHTV.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Remember, conserve and protect our great outdoors.